we've been hearing more and more, like in the last like couple years, like how unethical like the music industry has been to people and so many artists, like and a lot of other, like even some of like the artists that I've like interviewed have talked about like having like possible situations with like bigger people, but they wanted them to do this and, you know, like be like a puppet or just like, you know, not have hardly any ownership.
Yeah, it's a huge trade-off. And when you get presented with a deal like that, of course you're going to think about the success stories, but you really don't think about the many artists that sit on the shelf with deals that never see the light of day. And be realistic, we have to think about those things. Of course, we don't want to be pessimistic. But I think that in today's world, it is totally possible to be an independent artist. It takes a whole lot of work to do it. But I think that everybody should try it. If you're an artist, you should try that first. Try it, you know, see how it works for you.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, especially with like social media is very much helpful, and just all of the just ways that you can do things yourself and like are able to bypass that. Like, because I've seen like even artists, especially in the CHH space, who were signed, like who are indie now. And at least like it works for them. But
yeah, and I think a lot of them love the freedom that they get as an independent artist. Like I think it was Lecrae who was talking about all the red tape he had to go to just to release a song, or to be a part of a charity event that was not even related to music. There was just so much he had to do first that, and there's those barriers don't exist as an independent artist, you know? So if you can build your own system, if you can build your own infrastructure, if you can be your own, or have your own A&R, if you can have your own budget, if you can have your graphic designer and your marketing team and all of that, you build that up yourself, they become less necessary, at least at first, while you're building your leverage to be able to be offered a better partnership or, you know, something like that later on down the line.
Because we mentioned Kanye a little bit earlier. So he's become a Christ follower and just made the Jesus is King album and the Sunday service events. And like more recently has spoken out about like unethical music business practices, just deals with artists and stuff. So like, do you have any thoughts on like all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that he's standing up for the artists who feel like they've been, I don't know if this is I should say this word, but screwed. I don't know if he, you know, I'm glad that he's standing up for artists. And I hope that he also does that for his own artists on his own label, because I'm sure their deals probably aren't that great either. But we'll see what he can do. I was like looking at some of the tweets, and he was mentioning some people who are in the higher like ups of the label, and maybe he is having some good conversations, you know. At the least, what I would love to see is some kind of like therapy, in like a therapy service included in deals. How some corporations include childcare as a perk. I would love to see record labels have some kind of therapist on staff, because it's a lot to deal with, and having a professional to help you work out your feelings would be so helpful, you know?
That's good. Like, I think that is like such a good idea. Like, and then I wouldn't think that like deals come with health care, or I mean, do they?
Well, if they don't, well, hey, if they don't, maybe they should, huh?
Yeah, and then that goes back to just with just other like health related issues that a lot of artists have been dealing with. Like some have passed away from like drug overdose, like just having like a holistic type of like situation.
You take care of them. They're the money makers. Why not take care of them holistically, you know?
I don't know. That sounds like an interesting like business model. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking. I feel like I don't know. Maybe if you wanted to start a label, I'm sorry.
You're cool.
You could have like the best like situation ever for an artist.
That's true. And I think that's something that I want to do in the future. I actually have a label. It's on the hush right now, but I do have one, and I'm in the works of developing it. So that would be something I'd love to do, is have a holistic approach to an artist's growth.
Man, like, I don't know. That just sounds like a really dope idea. But I'm glad that you mentioned that, because one thing I wanted to ask you too, because just with like all of your experiences, like you just seem like a person that would have something to say about this. So what kind of advice would you give to like up and coming artists, like being indie, and just like with everything that you know now, like if you could give them a piece of advice?
Okay. I would say that in this new industry, there is more skills needed than just knowing how to make good music. I would say if you don't want to be someone who gets taken advantage of, you should learn business. Like even before going to school, I'm so happy I went for music business and there was a business aspect to it. I could have gone for a full business degree, and I would have been fine. And I could have learned all the musical stuff in this setting with online courses and YouTube and Google. I think business is so important that it's got to be a part of your tool belt. You got to understand at least basic business. Also, I would say don't think that you need somebody to put you on. Don't think that you need a cosign. Don't get mad when the person doesn't shout you out. You know, don't feel like, man, I'm the black sheep and nobody is like helping me. Nobody wants to collab. Like, just know that if God is asking you to do something, he's going to give you the tools you need to do it. And if they don't want to help you, it's because they're not supposed to. It's because somebody else is going to help you, or God is going to help you. Like, you've got everything that you need to do exactly what God is asking you to do. And it takes a lot of prayer and being in the Word and setting your mind right and focusing to know that. But just don't get discouraged because nobody is. You feel like you feel like you're not getting the look that you want. You've got the tools to get your own look. Go get your own look. You know. And
with that, one of your tweets, and it was from a while ago, so please forgive me for the stalking. I feel like a stalker sometimes, but I
love this. You are thorough. You are doing it. This is the best interview I've had in a long time.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I try, like I do my best with the prep. Yeah. But yeah, so one of your tweets is an older one, but you had said, and I feel like I can remember it off the top because it was really good. You said, like, when you don't know your purpose, like, people will tell you that your weaknesses will know that your strengths are your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. They'll tell you your strengths are your weaknesses. So I don't know, like, can you, and I know I just kind of felt like that kind of went with that a little bit. Can you expound on that? Like, and just like, because I know just from your movement interview that you've had, like, your share of experiences, like behind the scenes and stuff with the music business. Like, I don't know if you can give any examples and just how, like, you overcame that stuff.
Yeah. I remember somebody telling me that I did not have the look to be an artist. And I bet there's been so many people who have heard that you don't have the look and you can't be an artist. And when they told me that hurt. I took that to heart. You know, it was somebody that was an older person whose advice I admired, you know, I treasured. And my look is not keeping me from being an artist. Okay, it's not. Like, we'll start there. And what else? What's some other things that I've heard? I've heard that my voice, people don't like. I've heard people say, well, your voice is weird, so you can't. So you just need to get smarter. So you just don't know. My voice is different. And so some aspects of my voice are different, but that is what's going to make me unique. You know, like some of the things that people don't like about you is probably just because they're not used to it. They don't know what box to put you in, and that's perfect. You know what I mean? That's perfect. Use those things that make you unique, because those are the type of things that create longevity and lasting impressions. But yeah.
For real. And one thing with your voice though, like, because I remember, I guess it was in 2015 where you were on the Wado radio show, and I'm like listening to you talk. I'm like, wow, like I have never heard a voice like this before. So soothing. And then on your beat tag site, like you talk about your voice there. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, Kriss Liss could really work forever because you can do all types of stuff in like the voiceover, like voice business.
Oh,
like
thank
you know, the Cree Summer, you know,
Oh
like
yeah, I would love to do that.
scenes.
Yeah.
Like when you watching something and be like, up next on ABC, like you could do that. Like you could do so much with your voice.
I'd love to do that. I really would. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to move on to kind of like the last chunk of this. I wanted to talk about Louisville and just like where you're from and stuff like that. You talked about like the hip hop scene there, like how it's underground. I remember a couple of years ago that Rapzilla did something about like a Louisville artist that was pretty interesting because I didn't know. The only one like at that time, because I believe it was 2018 when that article came out, that I had only known of was like you and maybe one other person. But yeah, like if you kind of like just speak on that, like what the scene is like and stuff.
So in Louisville, there are a couple of CHH artists who are dope. I don't know how active they are these days, but you might be talking about, there was a guy named Eons D, who's pretty dope. And he did a lot of work with, I think, Andy Mineo and a couple of other guys. He's an awesome producer too. There's a guy named Adelaide. He's dope. His name is interesting. It's ADALID. There's another guy named Foresight, F with a number 4, and then SIGHT. But the scene that I was referring to was really the secular scene, the scene that where there's no really, what I love about our scene is that there's no separation, which for an artist like me creates massive opportunity to witness. I perform here locally. There really is no Christian hip hop scene here. There's just a music scene. So the places that I perform, sometimes I'm the only Christian artist there, and I love it. I love it. So yeah, we have a lot of shows that happen. Not now, but even now, there's still some stuff going on. But we have open mics. We have, a lot of small venues around the city that are always hosting artists and helping us with our careers and in the local scene. It's wonderful. Yeah, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
I don't know. It almost like kind of sounds like, and I might be wrong about this because I have never really been to Nashville like that. I mean, I've gone through Nashville, but not really. Like, it sounds like a mini Nashville, but for hip hop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I could see that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I haven't like been to Nashville like that before. Yeah. I will say one thing that I miss so much about just living like in the South or whatever is Zaxby's.
Oh my god, I just had Zaxby's today. Earlier today I had a Zax house salad. It was wonderful. But yeah,
Zaxby's is so good. That's the one thing I miss.
Oh man. And where are you from?
I am from the south suburbs of Chicago. Right
Got
now,
you.
Park, yep. By now, like everybody, hopefully like knows Breonna Taylor's story. And just along with the state of like the racial issues in this country. Yeah. And so one of your tweets that you put out in June, you said like, my city is burning, y'all, literally and figuratively. Like, can you unpack that?
Yeah. So this was before the verdict that came out that none of the officers were going to be charged in her death. There were a lot of protests happening, and there were some things set on fire here, and of course that was the physical is a representation of the spiritual and the emotional and the mental and where we are, and a lot of people here in Louisville know and are ready and are waiting and feel that the city is pregnant with change. Like it's time for a change. And when I say burning, I mean like it's time to start it over. Like it's time to renew some things. It's time to renew the justice system, not just here, but overall. It's time to shake some things up, to get some people out, to put some people in, to get the representation that we need, to get the understanding that we need. You know, it's been far too long, and the progress, there's more progress to be made. You know.
Yeah. And so like, I don't know, I'm just thinking about like, you know, like living among that, because I know that things in Chicago were like broadcast a lot, but I don't necessarily like live like near Chicago, but like I absolutely wanted to be there with like those protests, because I just like felt like the spirit and like the energy of everybody who was out protesting. But like this is, you know, like in like your neighborhood and whatnot. So I don't know, just like on a personal level, like how have like you been like feeling and just processing all of it? If you want to.
To be honest, I've had to distance myself from it to not go crazy. I've had to try my best not to internalize what's happening so that I don't get depressed, and so that I don't take on too much of this pain that's already there, you know, that I already feel because I'm a Black woman in this I'm the same age as her. I was born 4 days after she was. Breonna Taylor was born. I'm like we're it's so similar that I have to back up. You know what I mean? Like it's so close that I have to back up and give myself the emotional space that I need, especially amidst COVID already. Like I'm tired, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that my mood has been tired. I've been tired. And so I've retreated. I've been in retreat, to be honest. That's how I'm feeling. Yeah.
For sure, man. Like I really feel that too, because that's how I felt like as well, like right after George Floyd. Like when I like saw it, it was like, and there was this tweet that I had reposted too. It was like, being Black in America is like having a good day, and then you have to hear that something happened to another Black person, and you either have to just like act like you didn't see it so that you don't get sad, or you just have to feel all of the things that come with that.
Yeah, it's hard to process. It's hard to process, and I don't know if there's any right or wrong way to process it, but I am so grateful for those who have taken it up to feel those things and put themselves on the front lines to be protesting and trying to get things changed here in our city. And actually, there's a guy here. He just became a councilman. His name is Ja'Cory Arthur, excuse me. And he was actually a local artist here in the city. And he's now a councilman. And he is one of the people who is trying to work to get things changed. And I'm very appreciative of everybody in my city who is doing the work. I'm happy that this is getting the attention that it's getting. I think a lot of people already knew that this kind of thing happened. If I were to talk to someone in my neighborhood, there is a distrust, you know, of the police department, and we knew this kind of thing happens. This is not the first time this kind of thing has happened. I know personally some other stories where some things didn't add up right, but a civilian ended up dead, and there was nobody killed him, apparently. You know, there was nobody who is responsible for his death, as if he got struck by lightning and not murdered. You know, there are things like this that happen. And I'm happy to see it publicized so broadly, and so that people who maybe didn't understand can understand now.
Yeah. Like it's no, and that's why I said too, like, you know, everyone like should know, like it's not a reason why anybody should have like no idea about what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I hate to like end like that type of, but that's just life. Like that's just what it is. Like,
should I say something encouraging? Should
yeah,
I'll say something, but I'll say something encouraging though. I'll say that for us who are Christians, we know that God is still in control, and that
that's what I was gonna say too.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and even with all of this going on, God ain't new to this. He's true to this, right? Like he's got a plan and a purpose for each and every one of our lives, and and for those who maybe aren't Christians, I pray that maybe one day they'll know the same thing. You know, that that pain and struggle doesn't have to be for nothing, and that even through all of this, this earth is not our home if we find our home in Christ. You know, and that's something that I've definitely had to remind myself since all of this has transpired. That this earth is not my home. This place is not my final destination. And if I were to be, if something like this were to happen to me, I have to realize that this is not this is not the end. You know, this was not the end. And I don't know, but I pray that it wasn't the end for Brianna either.
Yo, I really hope you enjoyed this episode with Kriss Liss. Be sure to hit her up on social media right here. Also, hit her up for any of your producer, podcast, rapper, whatever tag needs. Let her know I sent you. If you enjoyed this episode of Personal Pizza Party Show, like this video, comment below, and subscribe for our next episode. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later.